our Wednesday lunch meeting. We're doing Celebrating Men's Health Month and Juneteenth. And we're happy to have our audience here. And just to let everybody know, we do have a virtual audience. We're going out Facebook Live, and we are streaming back to the good people in Flint, Michigan, and through the Insight Hospital and their social media platforms. So we will welcome everybody here. We welcome the virtual audience, the Facebook audience, the Zoom Live audience, and we appreciate everybody coming out for our monthly little get-togethers, and we have lunch and we talk about different subjects each particular month. This particular month is a great one. All of them are great, but this one is great because we have COCO5 Sports Drink coming and talking and hosting one of the panels. And I forgot, somebody told me to tell people who I am. My name is William Penn. I'm part of Bronzeville Speaks. I work within the community relations of the community with the hospital to kind of have that connection between what's going on in Bronzeville in this particular case and this particular hospital. And I cannot do anything without my partner in crime, who's also getting ready to come on up here, Flo. Flo, who's from this, yep. Can you get some crowd? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, just to let everybody know, okay, crowd. Now, when I got up here, nobody said it. I didn't get no clap. People like, okay, I got no clap. Okay, so we're gonna get it going. Don't forget we have a virtual audience. I will handle the questions from the virtual audience. We will be putting mics in people's faces here in the audience here to ask questions to our great panels. The panels are ready. They got the best clothes on. They got their great speaking voice. They're ready to go. Well, everybody's eating over here, so he gonna have his nerves when he gets up here. So, Flo, go ahead and take it over.
All right, thanks so much, Will. If you want to give him a round of applause. Yes, to Will's point, he has been my partner in crime as far as community engagement, with our surrounding communities, so the hospital, other networks around us, with our partner SBEV. So it's been a great journey. Men's health, so it is Men's Health Month, so I kind of wanted Will to, take the lead on this as well. So I'll be, trying to get here and there, but I want the focus to be on, men's health and the celebration of Juneteenth. So without further ado, I do want to welcome everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. We do have a special performance for you all first, before we get to our panels. So if you all want to give a round of applause to Roy and Caleb, our artists for today. So they'll be giving you all a special performance.
Caleb Porter, everybody. Yo. That's it. That's what's going on, y'all. Thank y'all for having me. My name is Caleb Porter. Also, my stage name is Kip. C-I-P, my good right here. Can I stand on the phone? Okay, cool. Let's get it. Okay, cool. Let me see. Knock, knock. Yeah. I'm not even just. Huh? We'll start Reflect. Let's do Reflect. Okay. Check. Let me get that mic together. Okay, turn up a little bit. For sure. Go. Where the DJ at, man? Where the DJ at, man? Sorry, y'all, we're doing a DJ job right now. Check. Okay, cool. Yeah. I took a little bit, broski. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk. Start from the top. Okay, so this is my first ever single that I dropped. It's called Reflect. It's on all platforms. Look me up, CIP Reflect. Yeah, rock out. Yeah, yes, sir. No profanity. I got you. You know? Mike. Yo. Yeah. Yo, it's on. Sometimes I reflect. It's on. Okay, cool. They try to check those things. I ain't never need them, but they know how I'm bleeding. Ever blue check, I do checks for no reason. Billy check up in the head of my season. Late night text for my vet love season. That was no effect when I slice like an A. Cool jockey mommy only like me for my peel. You won't catch a homie if I'm beating up. I say two talk crazy, I'm a rocket like a Venus. I came from the trenches where they trick instead of teaching. XB calm, that ain't messing up my sneakers. Sheep house contact, roll up that ether. I put them in a blender. Good kid, bad city, maybe I ain't kidding. We gon' do this is Glock 17, ripping and she just got stitches. She won't miss again like a Motor City business. Okay, now I'm kidding. Word around the way that your boy had no business. Don't tell me what they say, tell me why they tell you nigga. Call me Amazon in my prime, I deliver. It's never been an issue. Tell me who gon' wish you when they get hit with the missile. Tell me who gon' get you when the boy had to dismiss you. Anti-sheep, I put it all and come and get you. No talking cheap, let's get it on, go get your business. No one from the gun, pillow talking like this, the only time I'm undercover. We heavy to the suckers, yeah. Okay. Slide. Thank you. Excuse me, thank you for rocking with me. Appreciate it. Huh? Thank you. Thank you once again for having me, y'all.
All right, if you all want to give him another round of applause. Yes. And we have Roy here as well that wants to share something on his heart. So if you want to give Roy a round of applause as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Turn me up. Yep. Cool. Turn up a little more. The song is called Turn Me Up. Okay? Hey. Turn me up. 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 Up. Turn me 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 up. Up. Turn me 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 up. Up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Up. Turn me up. Turn me up. What's up? What's up, Insight? What's up? Let's go. What's up? Who's caring? I'm right here. I know that it's scary. I'm ready to get the speakers. Learn the dog on guard. West. We air them. Snakes. We air them. Still don't know people staring. Y'all must hear that bullshit. Y'all must hear that bullshit. I went through the struggle, that bullshit, depression. Every shit did kill me. I'm tougher than ever. Now I'm so thank God, I'm suffering. I say it now, I'm suffering every day. I have one that they can't tell. Now something on the that's it on the shit, so I'm playing now. You ain't watching, so I'm taking off, but you still laying down. Hurry up, 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 hey, hurry up. You better cash out your dance now, cash out your dance now, cash out your dance now. You better cash out your dance now, cash out your dance now, cash out your dance now. You better cash out your dance now, cash out your dance now, cash out your dance now. You better cash out your dance now, cash out your dance now, cash out your. Make some noise for yourselves. I keep it so fun. Thanks, Lord.
All right, that was amazing. Please give them another round of applause. Our very own Roy and Caleb Porter. So thank you all. Yes. So with that awesome performance, we're going to move right into our first panel. And this panel is special because this panel represents our Insight team, our very own Insight physicians. So before they come up to, the panel, I just want to introduce them and who they are and what they stand for. So first off, we have William. William is our infection preventionist. William has years of experience at the University of Iowa, and now he's with us on the Insight team. And he's also worked with the global health. So he has much wisdom and insight on infection and prevention. And I'm excited to hear, what he has to say amongst the other physicians today. And next we have Dr. Arthur Mosley. So he is our Dr. Mosley is our sexual wellness physician here at Insight. And what's interesting is Dr. Mosley has worked here before when the hospital was Mercy, and he has much background in HIV and hepatitis and other STIs, information that we need to know about that affects the community. And then we do have Dr. Scott Koppel. He is our ambulatory care director here at Insight. And our internal medicine physician. And then lastly, but definitely not least, we have Dr. Rajput. So Dr. Rajput comes to us, he is our family medicine physician. He's had many years of, practice at the University of Michigan, and he brings lots of, wisdom as well as the other physicians. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome all of them up to the panel to have an interesting discussion about
Thank you so much for the great introductions. I'd like to welcome everyone here on behalf of the rest of the staff at Insight to our men's health panel here. Dr. William Dr. Etienne has provided us with a wonderful presentation that we're going to be going through together.
Yeah, I'm
queued
waiting
up?
for the.
Okay. All right, so we got the slides coming up here in just a second, and we're going to go through this together to talk about men's health.
We got the worst seats in the house.
Thank you. So hello everyone, thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to talk to you about men's health and to join this, my colleagues. So why a month dedicated to men's health? It's because men live 6 years less than women. So obviously, women are doing better than us at staying healthy, and we would like to do as well. So I think this is worth dedicating 1 month to try to see what we can do as men to to do better with our health. And then if you're looking at our community and the community that we serve at Insight, 70% of the men that come to Insight are African American. And this is another issue is that African American men have an even lower life expectancy, as you see on this slide. There was this so this is to give you an idea of the men that come to our facility. So 70% are African American, around 21% are white, and then we have 9% that are Asian, and then we have 0.1% that are Latino. There was a report that was done by CDPH about the state of health of Black people in Chicago, and it showed that Black have a life expectancy that is 9.2 years lower than non-Black Chicago. And the main, underlying cause for this big gap in life expectancy between Black men and non-Black men is of course rooted in histories of racism and discrimination and inequities in access to health services. The gap in mortality is linked to chronic diseases, and we'll talk about that, more diabetes, more heart and vascular diseases, more prostate cancer among Black men, more homicide, more infant mortality, more HIV and flu and other infection. Opioid overdose is also a contributing factor. And then of course, COVID-19 in the past few years. Those data above were from before COVID era, so this is why I have to add COVID-19. So if you're looking on the column on the left, it gives you the 10 first causes of death among Black males in Chicago. And so what can be done to improve our health as men? Well, I think one key that stands out is to act for political and societal changes, for health equity, to have better services in our community, on the south side and in Bronzeville and in the catchment area of Insight. And then those tips are the tips that are recommended by the United States Homeland Security Department. And with my colleagues, we'll go through all of those in details. But regular checkup to detect early chronic disease and to be able to treat it early is a very important one. And then the other ones, of course, you heard about those. Having a healthy diet and being active will reduce the rate of diabetes and heart and vascular diseases. You know about cardiovascular diseases and cancer are related to smoking. Alcohol consumption is the best risk factor for accidents and can lead to violence. And then the stress. And then the stress is also an important factor. Some studies are been released and they talk about toxic stress. And they show that if you're exposed to stress for a very long amount of time, it can dysregulate your neuroendocrine system, and it can, in fact, make aging faster. So yeah, next slide. Oh, sorry, I'm the one.
Why don't we go through?
You want to? Yeah. So sorry. So I think now is a good time to have my colleagues just go a bit deeper into all of those things.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Etienne, for that great overview. And now I think we're going to delve into some of these issues raised on this slide, general men's health, preventive care topics with each of us in turn. So why don't you start us off, Dr. Mossman?
I don't care, I can use either one, but apparently if you turn them both, it's like, you can't let those screens
Yeah,
cross. It's like,
exactly.
it's like in Ghostbusters. So yeah, so yesterday I was online trying to look at what other people were saying about Men's Health Month. And I stopped on the urology page, which we don't have a urologist here today, but the tagline on the urology page was get up and go, which I thought was really good because not only is sort of, that's what urology is all about, but you can also interpret that as get up and go to the doctor, and also get off the couch and go. And then at my age, it's more like wake up and go, but you know, whatever. Women learn to go to the doctor every year, and men go when something's broken. And that's part of the reason for the gap that we were talking about. So the first thing is, I think, to pick a primary doctor that you like. And by like, I mean trust. Because part of the job is telling you stuff you don't really want to hear, like stop smoking, get off the couch and exercise, eat right, all those things that like are triggering, and but really make a difference. Think of it as the 20-point inspection on your car, and there's a reason they void your warranty if you don't do the routine maintenance on your car, and our bodies are the same sort of. I saw a study that 2/3 of men think they're healthier than most men. And 60% don't go to the doctor. And so we say if you don't take a temperature, you can't find a fever. And that sort of putting your head in the sand is not really good at keeping us alive, because a lot of the stuff, if you do it, makes you live longer. And that's kind of the goal. The tricky part for us is that we're telling you stuff you don't want to hear, and that, you know, most people don't like going to a place where they're going to be told things they don't like to hear and get poked and prodded. But 45% of men have high blood pressure, 38% of men are overweight, and 1 in 4 die of heart disease. And as we pointed out, these numbers are all worse in people of color. So a lot of the things are also treatable. We call them preventable. We all have to go eventually, but I'm talking about putting it off for a while. And so really getting the sorts of screens and vaccines and advice that the doctor gives you once a year is actually something we should all be doing. Take it.
Appreciate the overview, Dr. Mossman. So this slide here mentions managing stress. You know, one thing that is seen in the clinic much more often these days, especially in the wake of the pandemic, are mood difficulties, which you know, affect men quite a bit. But as Dr. Mossman was alluding to, there's often much more of a stigma related to mental health struggles in men. So I highly encourage everyone who's having those kinds of issues to please bring it up with your physician. You know, recognize that you're not alone. It's extremely common, again, very common in the community we serve around Bronzeville and the Insight patient population. One other thing I wanted to talk about was testosterone. Now, a lot of gentlemen come in, you know, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they say, "Doc, I want to be checked for low T. I think I have low T." The reasons for this are quite varied. Sometimes it's issues with erectile dysfunction. Sometimes it's issues with low libido. Sometimes it's just low energy, or maybe there are things that people can't do anymore that they used to be able to. Low testosterone can cause those things, but there's also a wide number of different diseases, conditions that can cause those things. So you definitely want to talk about it with your doctor. Get checked out if the doc thinks it's appropriate. And you know, if the testosterone is normal, then we got to consider a lot of those other different causes of those complaints. If it's low, then there are treatments we can give, supplements for testosterone. Speaking of supplements, though, A lot of folks come in and see me, especially if they have complaints or they're worried about their testosterone and they're taking some sort of over-the-counter men's supplement. Now, there are all sorts of commercials for these things, especially late night on TV. I'm sure you've seen these things in the gas station, in the line. You've probably heard about it from a buddy. Maybe you've taken these in the past. Now, I highly recommend against taking those things in general, especially without seeing your doctor to get approval for it, because they can be very harmful. The ingredients in those things can vary from stimulants to testosterone itself to who knows what. And it's very difficult to tell what is in each batch of these different supplements because they're not regulated in the same way that medications are regulated by the FDA. So you definitely want to make sure before you take anything over the counter that you talk it over with your doc. If there are concerns about your testosterone or whatever issues you're having, that you check those out with your doc before you start taking some medication that you get out in the community. Okay. The other thing mentioned here is avoiding smoking. Now, I'm sure you've all heard from your doctors and community health announcements saying that you need to quit smoking. But I think for those of you who do struggle with addiction to tobacco, the important thing is finding a reason in your life. Not just, well, this makes you unhealthy, so therefore you should stop doing it. Find something in your life. Do you want to be around so that you can be there for your granddaughters, for your family, so that you can provide for your family? Is there some activity you do that you're very passionate about? Tie it to something in your life that you really want to do that smoking is limiting. Now, one thing that isn't talked about enough is the link between erectile function and smoking. A lot of similar to the concerns that I mentioned before with low T, I see a lot of patients in their middle ages and early elderly patients who come in with erectile dysfunction. And they want a pill, they want a quick fix. But oftentimes, if you quit smoking, you can get major increases in your erectile function, similar to what you would get with a Viagra or something along those lines. So that's one way you could see, okay, all of us want to be sexually active. It's an important part of our health, and quitting smoking is a key part of trying to maintain or reestablish a good erectile function. So if you have anybody in your life who's having both of those issues, addiction to tobacco and erectile function, think about making that tie for them or having them see a doctor about that, okay? Now I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Rajput, and he's going to tell us some more about preventive screenings.
Thank you, Dr. Koppel. I think it's working on it. So thank you, Dr. Koppel, for the talk about looking at something to look forward to. If it's your children, if it's your grandkids, the Chicago Bears winning a Super Bowl, whatever it could be, try to find that. But that doesn't come just to smoking, but it looks at all your different chronic medical conditions. Smoking in itself leads to something called atherosclerosis, which is a clogging of your arteries. There's many different things that could cause that. It could be your genetics, it could be your eating habits, it could be your social habits. But these things all together lead to that's something that we can easily prevent by living a healthy lifestyle. Overall, the one thing that you can do to have that healthy lifestyle, as Dr. Moss was saying, is get up and go. To have that exercise. Physical activity is the one medicine that all of us would recommend and has no side effects, no counterindications, nothing wrong with it. It's a medicine that all of us would prescribe to you. Greater than 150 minutes per week is what we try to do. What we echo throughout different specialties, be it men's health, be it women's health. That's something we should try to do all together. Preventative care is something that is a hallmark for family medicine, internal medicine, medicine altogether. It goes without saying that us, the doctors, we love you so much that we do not want to see you. It's kind of funny because if you go to a mechanic, for example, they might mess up your brakes and try to come back to you and try to do it. I promise you as doctors, we try as best as we can to prevent you from coming to us. So with that being said, it's kind of an interesting career choice. So we want to see our customers or our patients or our clientele in some ways less frequently. So with that being said, a lot of this prevention kind of care goes between both male and female. But males specifically, there's certain stuff that we try to look at, that we try to make sure that we focus our attention on when it comes to them coming in. One of them is leads to smoking, leads to genetic screening as well. It's something called abdominal aortic aneurysm. What this is that there is a major artery in your body that supplies oxygen via the blood through your main organs and through the rest of your body, called the aorta. And part of it goes into your abdomen or your belly area, so that's why it's called abdominal aorta. The issue with that is that as you get older, your arteries can increase in size, it can cause abnormality through it, and those are sometimes normal, but what comes out abnormal is if it's too large. And as I was reading to before, there's this thing called atherosclerosis, or the clogging of the arteries. There's different factors that we can manage to prevent that from happening. So if you are a smoker, for example, you have a higher chance of doing that. And if you're a male, even higher chance because of the testosterone that's in you, if you're not taking care of it properly. So one of the screenings that we recommend at 60 years old is abdominal aortic aneurysm screening, which is an ultrasound. Very low radiation, nothing at all. Something that gets done in a few minutes, in fact, and you can get screened and find out, hey, there's something there. An aneurysm, if it becomes very large, is something that's very drastic. What happens is that the artery itself rips apart. So you can imagine how of a drastic symptom that is. It's something that's very scary. And I know that if there's something that I can prevent from happening, then I would run towards that. If I know, hey, is this something that can happen that will cause me to die, that will cause me to lose limbs, I'll try my best to prevent that from happening. That's one of the things that we try to look at, but there's several other aspects of it as well. Colon cancer is another one that we try to focus on, and it's more common in males than females. And something we need to try to focus our attention on, getting our colonoscopies, getting our Cologuard tests done. And all this comes together if you see your actual physician. Once a year is important, but then eventually if there is something else that needs to be targeted, we try to see you more frequently. If there's, say, for example, a history of blood sugar disorders, then we see you more frequently for diabetic appointments. If you have issues with your blood pressure, those are some things that we try to work on as a team together. All in all, this preventative care measures are something to ensure that you see the doctor less frequently. We want to make sure you at least see us once a year, but hopefully not more often than that.
So yeah, as you said, the guidelines are everybody's supposed to get 150 minutes of some kind of exercise every week. And I looked this up last night also, that 30% of men actually do that. And I read something once that every minute that you exercise, you live a minute longer. And my comment was, yes, but you've already wasted that minute exercising. But it really is get off the couch and move. The other thing is you're going to need a nutrition game plan because that's really important. But what I wanted to spend a minute on was actually mental health, because that's also very stigmatized. And particularly in men, 76% of suicides are men. 6 million men suffer from depression and almost 20 million from anxiety disorders. But we are men and we don't feel things. So it's rare. It's less frequent that men complain of like sadness, loneliness, or depression. Men frequently report fatigue, insomnia, irritability, anger, loss of interest in work or hobbies. If this sounds familiar, maybe that's a reason to get checked. Also, low testosterone can cause depression, and also mood swings, and so does alcohol. So another reason to get engaged in healthcare is this is a really untreated part of life that I think is becoming more accepted now. If you go on the web, there's like a men's mental health site that talks about mental health in terms of football. It's kind of fun. But you can do mental health on the phone now, and you don't have to actually go to an office and sit on a couch or nothing. And I really do suggest that people get not only checked for your high blood pressure and your cancer, but also for your mental health. Also because this is what I do. If you have more than one sex partner, or if you're doing any kind of street drugs or have, please get checked for hepatitis and HIV. And if you, because there is treatment for all of these things. And in addition, there's now pre and post exposure medicine that you can take to prevent HIV, and also coming soon, there's a after pill for syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia. So those are all reasons to stay in care.
Thank you, Dr. Swanson and Rajput, for giving us the gamut on the preventive healthcare, especially for men. I think now we're going to do some questions. Any questions and answers? Is there a microphone, or
Just pass the mic.
Yeah.
pass the mic? Okay.
Do you mind coming up here so that the online can hear? I'll give them that.
I'll give them the good one.
Just make sure it's on.
Here we go. Do anything? Okay, we're gonna take one in-house and then we got two online.
My question is, why does it take so long to see a primary doctor?
Okay, great question. I think at Insight in particular, it's not going to take you very long to get a primary care doctor. We have 4 primary care physicians working under our auspices right now. If anybody wants to get an appointment, usually you can do so within the next week or 2 with one of us, either myself or Dr. Rajput. So, you know, I still see patients even now, almost 2 years since we opened back up, that didn't know that Insight had opened up on the site of the former Mercy Hospital. So please do tell your friends and family, let them know that, you know, there is a hospital open back up on this site, and we are accepting patients for primary care. I think you'll find that if you try to schedule an appointment with us, we can get you in very quickly to see not only primary care, but we have great availability for specialists as well. I think more generally, the problem is there aren't enough primary care doctors. And that's why it can be very difficult to get in certain places, for sure. So we need more primary care doctors, we need more residency spots, and we need more physicians to choose to go into this line of work.
There's also residents.
One more thought from Dr. Rajput on that
There's
one.
also the residency clinic. Residents will be, internal medicine residency will be starting July 1st here. And we have plenty of doctors that will be eager to help you on your long path to a healthy lifestyle. So residents, at the same time, Insight is wonderful in that we have a lot of our services provided in-house. So you don't have to go anywhere else to get your labs done, your x-rays done. Like I said, the ultrasound for abdominal aortic aneurysm screening, that can be done in-house, as well as several other things like the colonoscopy. We can try to get that done here as well. Blood tests, even behavioral therapies in-house as well, to talk to somebody with mood disorders. Everything can be done here and relatively in a short amount of time. Residents will be seen like the next day almost. So they're eager to see you.
Yeah, I would, it's really important that this hospital stayed open, because this is a really, even though we're so close to everything, we're really underserved. In the meantime, it's kind of a secret. So like, I also work in the university system, and like, if you go to some of these other emergency rooms, it's 6 hours of sitting in the waiting room before you get into the back. And I tell people, like, you know, if you get shot, go to county, but if you sprained your ankle, come here, because you're gonna be in and out so fast, you won't know what happened. And likewise, it is 10 months to get a colonoscopy at University of Illinois, and you can get one here in like a month. So we really need more people to know about Insight Hospital, but in the meantime, tell people you can get in.
And our second question? In the wake of Juneteenth, this information is known already. Black males are like the highest deaths compared to all other races. That's cool. We all know that already. There's not enough black men in here to need to know that information or that even care. You know, my concern is why do we need to know this information? Like, we really need to know how to get more black men here to be aware that this is happening so that the rate can go down. We know about this already. This is every year in most every state in the country. Like, black men are targeted. It's targeted for us to be weakened or be divided or be oppressed. So the awareness needs to come with how to come together or bring this knowledge or care to the hood or to the places where they're most lacked at. And I know we are close, but we're not close enough because we are still like blocked by the other hospitals that really don't care about the black community that's in the black community.
So part two of his question, I think what he wants to say is, can we start having some of these forums at like Washington Park, Garfield Park, outside, you know what I'm saying? Because even though we're right here in the middle of everything, you know, I stay 4 or 5 blocks away from here, and I didn't even know this hospital was right here, right? So it's like we need this information to get outside, right? Can you guys grab this table and at least speak? Is it Hit College Grove, 63rd?
Yeah, so to answer that question, it's an idea that it's a word of mouth. So you have to get people to know that these things exist. It's not just like we can go and tell people that, hey, there's this hospital that's open. It's also the attitude towards healthcare as well. The African American population throughout history has been marginalized by healthcare. You have the story of the HeLa cells, which is a African American woman that had cancer. Her cells were taken posthumously, meaning that when she died, they took her cancer cells and they grew them as a cell line without her consent. And up until now, they're still being used. There's also the cases of, and I forgot the name of it, but there was this town and village.
Oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
Sorry, the one that was treated with vaccines without consent as well. So it's understandable that the African American community has anger towards the healthcare system. So we have to work as a community together with partnerships. And we're trying to do that. We have our organization, the SBEV, that's working with youth that are marginalized, that are not. In Flint, Michigan is a good example of that. How Insight came together and went in areas where the government did not help. We tried to go and provide care for people that needed it the most. A nonprofit organization, through education, extracurricular activities, and thinking outside the box. There is this interesting study that was done with blood pressure. They noticed that patients typically, they don't have access to blood pressure monitors. It's a little thing that goes around your arm and it checks your blood pressure to see how high it is. We know if you come to the doctor's office, given what I told you about healthcare, your blood pressure might be up. It could be because of the registration process. It could be whatever caused your blood pressure to go up. That's why, as healthcare provider, we always look at your blood pressure in a relaxed setting, so that you know that, hey, at home your blood pressure is normal and you're in an okay position. It's normal to be high at a clinical setting if you're in a stressful situation. So they found that, given that, if they took their blood pressure in a relaxed situation, it might be a little bit better. So they work with a barber shop, and they had one of the nurses actually go to a barber shop and take their blood pressure at that time. And they know that, hey, every week this guy's coming to get lined up. Let's check his blood pressure at that time. It correlates both culture and healthcare at the same time. So it's up to people like you and people like myself to work together to come up with this. It's not something we can work by the way, but it's something that has to have a dialogue together. We're trying our hardest by marketing wise, but we have to come up with people like yourself to get the word out as well. It's not just us, but it's on everyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the one thing I learned today is that you two are much cooler than we are. And so, first of all, I appreciate the performance a lot. That was great. Second of all, anything you guys have that you think might work, we'll give it a shot, because yeah, we're starting from scratch. This hospital was here for 100 years and then it wasn't here. And, you know, the Insight people are really trying to bring it back. And we really want to succeed, but yeah, our PR department isn't going to do this on its own, right? Bus ads isn't going to fix this. It's got to be word of mouth, and word of mouth from like two really cool dudes who rap would be like useful.
Okay, so I think that transition is basically when you guys having a concert in the park, these doctors will be there. Okay? All right. So we got about 2-3 more questions, and then we're gonna switch and thank everybody on the panel. So here's the next question.
Hello. I have a question. When do you think that hospitals will implement mental health within the hospital? Because I know hospitals are more focused on like physical health, you know, and you guys spoke about mental health. So my thought was just, how can we combine the two so that patient does come in to say, hey, I'm going to the doctor, but they also can get the mental health right there, because I think that also is a barrier where you have to, you know, leave and go schedule another appointment somewhere else, and it, you know, that can deter them from going to like a therapist or getting that type of mental health. So when will those two kind of come together, one group, to work for that patient?
You want to?
Sure, appreciate the question. Question was essentially developing mental health capacity here at Insight Hospital. Now, I will say that we have quite a robust mental health facility here already. We have both inpatient and outpatient availability of psychiatry. So patients who come into the emergency room and are in extremis or in crisis are evaluated by emergency room physicians, evaluated by our psychiatry behavioral health department. And if necessary, they are admitted for psychiatric care on the inpatient side, so in the hospital. Dr. Syed, who's the head of our psychiatry department here, also sees patients frequently on an outpatient basis, so seeing them in the clinic. He's referred patients both from the inpatient side and also from other facilities, other hospitals, other offices, and folks that we see as primary care doctors. If we feel that they have something more than your typical anxiety and depression, we'll often refer to Dr. Syed so that they can be seen. So yes, we are absolutely looking after the mental health of our patients here at Insight.
Thank you. We got 2 more questions, but one of the online questions, which is going to go back to where the 2 gentlemen who asked, like they said, we already, and you guys know too, this information that's up there. And as doctors, do you guys do everything you're supposed to do to keep healthy?
Do we do everything? Well, I see my doctor frequently to start with, and he tells me what I'm supposed to do. And I try. I do not come from a family of people who exercise much. So that was like a thing for me to like, I don't think I ever hit a gym until I was in college. And so that was really like a stretch for me, but you know, I put on 20 pounds during COVID and I've taken it off. So working on it. There you go.
Going back to the mental health question as well, trying to correlate these. It's part of your annual physical examination, a wellness check. Wellness includes physical wellness and mental wellness. So we do ask at that moment in time how a person's mental health is as well. So it's part of your annual checkup as a primary care physician. Nor do my personal health, I'm motivated now. I just had a newborn, so I have to get to the gym. Thank you. Factor in the gym a little bit more. So time-wise, it's not that much, but I have the motivation. So going back to like what motivates you and finding out what's there. I have it now, we just have to go to the next step of getting to the gym more often. Prior to that, when time was a little bit more freely, of course, was going to the gym more frequently and trying to practice what I preach.
Okay, the next question.
More like a comment. I think in general, just as healthcare professionals, we're the worst patients. And I mean that in a way that we're so busy taking care of everyone else, we underline our health issues alone. To take away the denomination of race and the population of people, period, they're afraid to go to the doctor and get a healthcare check or a healthcare screening. They're afraid of the results. They're afraid of even after the results having to see a specialist. It's kind of like older people, it's not broke, I won't fix it, that keeps them from going to the doctor and finding things out. By the time they get there, we're in a stage 2, 3, or it's already set in as a condition. So there's a lot of health fairs that goes out, there's a lot of information that's out. You have to be your own advocate, your self-advocate. To the young gentlemen, continue to use their talent as a platform. You have to just reach out and be your advocate to healthcare. It's out there, it's publicized. You scroll on Facebook, you comment on stuff, let's scroll on healthcare sites, let's scroll on hospital sites. So you have to be your own advocate. You have to maintain your own healthcare. The doctors are there to assist you, but at some point you have to be your own advocate to your older people in your family, your mom, your dad. Hey, when the last time you've been to the doctor? I mean, you have to be an advocate to self.
Thank you. Doctors, what do you guys think about that? Are you guys advocates for the community and better health?
Sure, appreciate your comments. There's a lot there. I would agree. I mean, I think we've all seen many patients who tell us, hey, you know, I wanted to come in sooner, but I was worried about the results. I didn't want to know. And, you know, of course, that's going to be a struggle for some people, but I would encourage you, if you're sitting on the fence, you're staying home because you're worried about what's going to happen. You know, from a physical health standpoint, it's always worse not to know. If we don't know what's there, we can't treat it, we can't tell you how to prevent it and keep it from getting worse. So I would encourage you to try to overcome that fear, try to take that leap of faith and come see us and believe that, you know, it's going to be better to do something than to do nothing in almost every case. And in terms of patients being advocates for themselves, of course, absolutely. We highly encourage all of our patients to do their own research, you know, to fact check us, to stay up to date on their health conditions. We try to give as much education as we can and encourage people to advocate for themselves because, yes, it's true. I mean, you know, the healthcare system is not perfect. There are gaps in care, there are mistakes are made. That's always a possibility, so you definitely want to be your own champion when it comes to your healthcare. But ideally, you're not just alone as a champion, that you're working with your primary care physician and your specialists to help keep everything all together as a team. Healthcare is best when it's done as a team endeavor, not as just a doctor or just the patient, but when we're working hand in hand together to work to a healthy lifestyle.
That was good.
Hey, my name is Julian. I'm one of the therapists here at Insight, as well as I work at different hospitals around Chicago. And my thing is, I notice when I go to different hospitals that the choice of doctors is diverse to reflect the makeup of the community.
Mm-hmm.
what are the efforts of Insight to address those things as far as diversity, as far as having women doctors, as far as having more African American doctors, or even attracting that type of talent here?
Yeah. I mean, I think we're always recruiting. We're always looking for new blood. We're always looking for folks of different backgrounds, different races, ethnicities, ages, sex, I mean, the whole gamut. And I would say that we do have diverse staff at this time, for sure. I mean, you can see we have multiple folks of different races up here today. And if you go around the hospital here, you can see little pamphlets of all the different physicians who work here at Insight and see the range of different doctors that we have. But yes, absolutely. Would we like to have more physicians who more closely match the surrounding community? Absolutely. So we are always looking for more doctors, for sure.
Those doctors would definitely advocate and market and bring more cool people and cool patients. So one to think it's okay to get checkups and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? If we have like job fairs in like certain areas to where we, not scared, but are hesitant, you never know what we get out of that gold mine or what do they say, diamond in the rut. Some people who aren't qualified for certain things are knowledgeable in certain areas that aren't in others, So, I mean, it's just taking a risk, I'm sorry for saying so much, but it's about taking a risk. There's a lot of people out here that can advocate for this hospital, especially if it's a new staff hospital. I mean, like him, for instance, he works out an hour a day, every day. He would be super dope in the hospital as a counselor or therapist or health therapist or something like that. But he will bring the people from his community and his hood that are lacking and even wanting to know that stuff here because he is a representative. People like us will definitely bring more people of all places, but mostly that way back over here because they need to be here. They need to be more in a better place where they care enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a shame that our Chief Medical Officer, Dylan Banis, isn't here today because I'm sure he could speak more to our efforts to expand the diversity of our staff and more closely integrate with the community. But hopefully we'll have an opportunity to see him speak at another time. Okay.
Like I said, there's a residency group that will be starting. There are young physicians that will be eager to help and eager to work with the community. That in itself shows how Insight is dedicated to training the next generation. Our hope is that we have students coming here. There's some in the crowd right now. They'll be motivated to help this community. And this in itself will help people that are interested in medicine to come into Insight Hospital and to understand medicine, and then maybe that will light the flame within them to get into a career in medicine. It might not be a physician, it could be a therapist, it could be a nurse, whatever it could be, but come in, let's see what the hospital is all about, light that ignition within you so that it further goes into that career path. If you're really interested, I'm sure there's going to be career fairs coming in soon enough. Insight's a growing hospital, and we're always willing to hire new and eager people onto the team.
Thank you so much. All right, that's it for questions. Put your hands down. Virtual audience, put your hands down. I will get to some of those questions a little later. We're going to take this conversation online and keep it going through social media. So my dual over here who can help me with social media and some of the other people that all you doctors got Facebook pages, so we can tag you guys in there too. But let's give a round of applause. And we're going to transition to our next panel, and we bring up our partner.
Thank you, good job. Yeah.
All right, so I don't think I heard you guys. Please give these physicians a round of applause. I don't know about you all, but that was awesome. Having each of these physicians and share their experiences is great. So before before we move into our next panel, I want to give a shout out in honor of Juneteenth. There are shirts. We do have a vendor that are selling t-shirts. They come in small, medium, and large. So please, please, please feel free to stop by the table and purchase your shirt today. So thank you. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up our next guest. And this guest, his name is McKinley Nelson. He's gonna come up here and share a little bit about himself and what he does in the community. We're really honored and privileged to have him. He's a known figure in this Chicago community amongst the youth and amongst the, keeping active through basketball, through his projects with Chicago and limiting the violence. So if you all want to give a hand clap to McKinley Nelson.
I hope you guys don't mind going down a podium kind of guy, so look, I'm moving on to put it. So my name is McKinley Nelson. It's recorded, there's no podium. Cool, right? Cool. All right, so my name is McKinley Nelson. I am the founder of a nonprofit here in Chicago called Private Swish Chicago. When you hear Swish, obviously it's kind of centered around basketball. So what we do is we use basketball to combat the violence and provide mental health resources within the city. And I will get into, I guess, like why I'm here and why I fit into mental health month. But the project is going on our fifth year. Our 5th year anniversary is actually August 18th. Our 5th year anniversary is actually August 18th. And over the last 4 years, we've been able to have 3,500 kids from the city of Chicago being part of our program. I think that why I'm here, or I was selected to speak here, is because not only we're doing things with basketball and physical health, we're also doing a lot of work with mental health, right? I can just get into like my personal reason why I started Project Swish. I was actually developing Project Swish out of a rehab center, right? So I grew up here in Chicago. I picked up a basketball at the age of 3, right? Basketball carried me through elementary school, through high school, and I was able to win a city championship, a state championship over at Whitney Young. We got to clap for 4 years. We got to clap for my state championship too. But no, I played basketball over at Whitney Young for 4 years on varsity, and I actually went to Xavier University in Cincinnati and studied sport management. A lot of the guys that I played with, they played a little longer than me. They played better than me. They made it to the NBA, and I had that LeBron or Rich Paul goal with my friends, right? I wanted to be the agent while they were the players. So as I was studying sport management to become an agent, I actually lost a lot of the guys that I played basketball with in the community. I lost in gun violence, right? That put me through, and I should say this lightly, but a down mental health period to the point where I had to come home from Cincinnati, Ohio, from Xavier, and get some professional help for myself, right? We're gonna talk about depression a little more like open and honestly now. People are more vulnerable now in 2023 than they were in 2018, when I left school, right? So at that time, I was 21. We look at 21, and I apologize to all the parents in here, but prior to 21, I was using my fake ID, right? I was in college. I was using my fake ID at all the college bars. At 21, everything was legal. And instead of me using my legal ID, enjoying myself being a regular college student, I was in a rehab center, right? Me feeling like I had no purpose because the guys that I wanted to celebrate my wins with, they weren't around with me anymore, right? Me feeling like when I came back to Chicago on Christmas break or Thanksgiving break or spring break, I didn't have any friends because I lost them to gun violence, right? So at that point, I kind of felt alone. I made some bad decisions when I came home and got some professional help. So the purpose of me developing Project Swish was to, avoid that pain for other kids that grew up here in Chicago, right? Everybody here picks up a basketball at some point. Everybody doesn't make it to be a Derrick Rose or a Jabari Parker or a Dwayne Wade that comes from the city, but realistically, everybody would much rather be in the gym playing basketball than dodging bullets in the street. So I'm no, mental health professional, right? So my angle is prevention. If I can avoid the kids being in, in the streets during times of danger, then I can probably avoid that pain for a lot of them. So what we do is we set up shop in the highest crime neighborhoods in the city, the highest crime times to get all the guys off the streets in times that they would be in danger, whether that's Ogden Park, North Lawndale, the Roseland area. We have programming at 7 sites from 6 to 10 p.m. 6 days a week here in the city of Chicago. So not only is basketball, physical health, right, but we have a mental health component as well. I started this project in 2018. In 2020, the pandemic came, and we weren't able to access gyms, we weren't able to access parks, we weren't able to do any of the stuff that we were doing, right? And we just kind of took that time to take a deeper dive into the kids, like mental health, right? We know that we have this non-violence programming, but this is an opportunity for them to talk about what the violence did to them, right? So then we had conversations about PTSD, we had conversations about trauma, we had conversations about depression, we had conversations about anxiety, and moving post-pandemic. We kind of like launched a healing project, right? So now all 2,500 kids in the foundation have access to free therapy, right? Whether it's talk therapy, unconventional therapy, and yoga, meditation, art therapy. We brought some dogs in for dog therapy, but the whole point of everything with Project Swish is to get everybody to heal. So with that being said, 3,500 kids in, 4 years in. I think I'm here to I can talk a little bit more about my journey, how I can get guys that are, I know that I look 17, right? I am 26, right? So guys that look like myself, my peers, the generation after me, to be comfortable, being vulnerable and honest about the things that we, go through here growing up in the city of Chicago. So I have two guests that will be joining me up here, and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves because they have much cooler jobs than myself. But I think we're gonna engage in some conversation about not only mental health, but men's health in general. So we can give these two guys a round of applause.
Yeah.
We have coming up Tim Jones, Athletic Director for SBEV. And we have Patrick Bennett. Patrick Barnett.
Correct.
He is an attorney.
Yes.
Practicing what type of law?
Litigation for my areas of practice are construction, sports, and entertainment.
Sounds good. There we go.
So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys do a quick intro about yourselves, and then I'll circle back with some questions.
I'm Tim Jones. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I'm the athletic director for SBEV. I also, like McKinley, went into sports management. So I manage a couple sports professionals in the NBA, and I'm excited to be here to talk about men's health. And I also represent COCO5, as you see a lot of these drinks around. COCO5 is actually started by a guy here in Chicago that's from Chicago, and it's sponsored by it's the owners such as Devin Booker, D'Angelo Russell, Charles Barkley, Michael Wilbon. They all have a stake in this company. It's a natural health hydration drink. So it has 5 simple ingredients: sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus. None of all that sugar that causes us to have mental health issues sometimes. A lot of us in our neighborhoods, the first thing we can get our kids is a 50-cent drink from the store. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's a part of our mental health issues in our areas. All the bad things that we can get for so cheap. Everything else costs a bunch of money. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that was big for us. They sponsored our whole program. So we service kids from ages 5 to 17, all free. Summer camps, after school activities. They can learn anything from playing the piano to mathematics or whatever you want to call it. Any after school activities, we offer it at SBEV. Thank you. Oh, my man, we have a studio too. Okay, so we're bringing one here to the Chicago SBEV. We have a big studio. People like Jaden Smith has donated a big water box to Flint, Michigan for us because we had that water issue. They've been in there to record Dave East, big artist that came through there, Sada Baby, if some of you may know him. But we're going to bring one here to the SBEV in Chicago, so I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm going to get you locked in. All right, appreciate you. We always with the community.
How My name is Patrick Barnett. I'm also from Flint, Michigan. This is my best friend. I've known him since we were in like second grade, third grade. We played basketball together growing up. I am an attorney in Chicago now. I reside in Frankfort, Illinois. I actually just moved there, but I was living in Chicago for about 10 years. I moved here in 2011. I am an attorney at a firm named Mike Shellis. It's downtown Chicago, 191 North Wacker. And I practice litigation. I practice primarily construction with a piece of sports and entertainment, building certain arenas and getting the licensing for that. And part of my practice definitely involves. Sorry, but let me try this. Well, part of my practice primarily is litigation, and within litigation, it's very contentious. So mental health is a huge piece of it, and diving into the mental health aspect of why I'm here. Litigation is usually between two attorneys battling over a subject matter in the courtroom, and naturally, it involves a lot of bickering back and forth, a lot of nasty emails sometimes, but you can be courteous as well within the profession. But naturally, my profession is pretty high stakes. It's pretty stressful. Every matter that I work on is like I said, high stakes. There's a huge impact involved, and you're either going to have a good client or you're going to have a bad client. So starting back in 2020, my profession is naturally, pretty stressful, but in 2020, it was actually magnified. What happened in 2020, as everyone knows, COVID hit. So now attorneys were provided the flexibility of working from home, which sounds good on paper, but at the same time, it released that barrier that separated church and state or home and your wife and home and your kids and work in your home, or rather home and work. So that work-life balance has now been destroyed because of the flexibility of working from home from 9 to 5. Instead of doing that, now you're working from 5 in the morning until whenever you don't see an email anymore. So that balance is now off. So one thing that firms such as my firm has done to kind of foster this new trend, this new movement of mental health is allowing attorneys to meditate in the firm. We actually have a meditation room that we have developed. We have inside of that room, there's yoga mats, there's meditation, they have music and all of this stuff. They have a TV screen in there so we can watch certain YouTube videos or whatever that kind of silences the noise outside of work and within the office. So, and what I do is I play basketball in my spare time. That's how I met Tim. That's really how I met most of my friends growing up, was through the basketball court and rapping. But we also used to rap too as kids and stuff, but we kind of got out of that as life moved forward. But I don't know if you want to ask any certain questions. Like I said, mental health is a huge thing. One thing that I do is I play basketball and also I go home, and there's always something. In order for me to stay happy being in my profession, what I do is have to have something to look forward to. So I may go and book a ticket, book a flight somewhere without even having a hotel room, just so I know I have that time set of being able to go or look forward to something 3 months down the line, because every day is going to go by. I keep saying, I can't wait till next summertime where I can do X, Y, and Z, but summertime is now here and I'm still working. I'm still working the 9 to 5 or either beyond those hours and sometimes before those hours. And life is going to continue to go, and I'm going to be looking around at social media and everyone's out enjoying the sun, they're on boats, they're on yachts, they're doing all these different things. But at the same time, I'm inside of an office or I'm sending an email to a client or to someone in a contentious manner for the most part. So what you have to do is, or at least what I do, is try to find something to gravitate to. I heard some of the doctors actually say you have to stay motivated. Happiness is not necessarily, the only thing in life that I've learned as I mature, I'm 35 now, 36, I just turned 36 last week. But one thing I learned now is all we have is time. And the older I get, all I want is peace. So time time and peace and family is the only thing that I kind of ground myself in and get me through the day, so.
That was a lot, man.
Sorry to pack all that. But.
Nah, it's all good. So I know from my personal experience, right, I use basketball as a scapegoat, you know, a lot of times from like reality. And I know that I actually got a call, just gonna tell everybody my business. But I actually got a call like spring of 2018. And I remember I was a high school basketball player. I want to keep throwing that out there in case anybody want to look at my highlights. But, I was in the spring. I'm at Xavier. I was in the intramural league, right? And it's the highest scorer in the intramural league. But in all seriousness, I remember being in the intramural game, and in that gym, I got a call that like my closest friend, like my best friend, had died back home in Chicago, right? And so like for a while, I mean, even until like recently, I started hating basketball. And like, just because it just reminded me of ball bounce, reminded me of being in the gym with my friend when I got that call about my friend, right? So now like my scapegoat was taken away from me, right? So now it kind of led to things that weren't so like positive to help me get through whatever I was going through before therapy. And I was just binge drinking and smoking and drugs and being super hypersexual, you know? And now I'm in a place where I found a little more peace in yoga and like finding a routine and things like that, right? So that just kind of brings me to a question of what are the positive things you guys do to help yourself heal? Because I know naturally, even if you don't have a dozen friends that passed away, right? We're living in this crazy world. We're waking up, and I'm at a point right now where I wake up and I get on Twitter and I see 40 more people shot over the weekend and I don't even flinch, right? It's just kind of, everything's just kind of like, even our subconscious is kind of being, you know, a bullied right now. What are some positive things that you guys do to get you guys through day to day?
So just like you, I've had a sister pass from a senseless murder. I have a sister pass from health disease. My dad passed of COVID 2020. But the most positive thing that came out that I look forward to now is I have a 3-year-old son, and I work with kids. So seeing other kids in worse situations than I could ever be in or I've ever experienced, and to be able to help them and give them tools such as things we do in our after-school programs, and involving my players with that. So involving like somebody that has made it to the level that they want, you know, to be at, and to be able to connect those two just gives me great joy. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to be a connector for people. So I like that helps me out a lot with my mental health. And a lot of black men, I'm gonna say this because I have friends, I have family. We look for other things as a way of a scapegoat instead of talking to somebody. We look for drugs, alcohol, things like that to help us get through the day. You know, sometimes somebody might say, hey, I just need to light one up, you know, because I'm stressed out. But in all actuality, there's other things out there for us if we talk to somebody. And that's the thing that is hard for us to do as black men, is to release our feelings. So to say, hey man, I'm struggling. Like I got a problem and I'm sick of having to go to this to do it. So if you talk to somebody, even if it's not a therapist, you know, if you talk to somebody that you look at that is living a healthy life, or you feel like, you know, you look up to, just because I did that with my brother. My brother's a pastor in Flint, Michigan, of a church. And I just talked to him and he just kind of, you know, told me some good things, some ways that he deals with things in ways that, you know, give me tools. Any way that you can get tools for your life to better your mind and to clear things out of your head, I think that's what helps me the most, is helping others.
There's a lot of things that I do to cope with my mental health. His father was my pastor in Flint, Michigan. I still haven't seen him since. It almost tears me up because I haven't seen him since. His father taught me love. You know, his father was one of the nicest people, the most genuine people. He was my second father. Not religiously, he taught me. My mother is a pastor. My father is a minister at his church. And his father was my pastor, and it was a spiritual awakening going to his church and being with his family. His family taught me love. So that's one of the things that I always rely on and how I stay grounded. Living in Chicago, I'm from Flint, Michigan. A lot of people know about the water crisis. Before the water crisis, the number one thing was crime, property crime, and murders. We were number one in the country for a number of years. I think we're stepped out of the top 10 now. I think Detroit may be like number 2 or within the top 5. So, which is not far from Flint, Michigan. So, for me to actually get to where I am now in Chicago and work for a high-stakes firm, and it's my mental health, I had to find a balance. And one balance that I found was basketball, obviously making friends and fostering those relationships. My friend spoke on it. You have to continue to keep contact with certain people because you need those relationships one way or another. You're gonna need someone down the line. Whether you can receive a text message from someone random that you haven't spoken to in a while, and it could light up your day, depending on who it is. The other thing is I am newly engaged. I have a fiance. I get married in October. So my fiance, she is my peace, and I am in a great relationship. She is an attorney at another firm, which is actually across the street from me downtown. So she's doing well. So when I go home, we can have someone that can relate to my struggle within the profession, and that's a huge thing. Whether I'm the only African-American attorney at my firm. My firm is nice, so appreciate it. But navigating the legal field in general, it's its own obstacles that I have to break down. Coming from Flint, Michigan, driving to Chicago twice a week, and just to take different interviews, just to get inside of a firm to see if I'm going to like being inside of a firm, just become a file clerk, then become a law clerk, then become a law student, and working full time, going to law school at nighttime from 6 to 9, Monday through Thursday, being the only black person at my firm, at the first firm I was in. Now currently I'm the only black person at my current firm. It's been a struggle, but I do have peace of mind when I get home. My fiance, she's Puerto Rican and Haitian, so she understands the minority aspect of life of any profession. Being a minority, there's challenges that you have to face. Whether it's innate, whether it's discussed, whether it's expressed, or whether it's applied. There's a lot of things that you have to encounter being a black man. So having that peace at home is great to be able to decompress and speak on different issues that you have at work, and being involved in the community. She's from the west side of Chicago. I lived there momentarily prior to moving out to Frankfurt. And so I'm in tune with the city for the most part, and I understand that we have great connections there. So keeping your connections, finding your peace within yourself, and then finding peace if you're with a significant other, finding peace within a significant other, and helping her. When you help her when I'm helping my significant other with her issues, I help myself too, because sometimes I find resolution within my own issues. So that's how I cope with mine.
I know that and I appreciate you being transparent about everything, both of you guys, because I know that when I first started, or I first hopped into this space, I wasn't exactly comfortable talking about anything that transpire, especially loss, right? That's something that we live with on a daily basis. And you've been to my home before. I have my best friends painted around my house, so I have reminders of them every day. However, being in this space, in this community space, I talked about how we have 3,500 kids a part of our program now, right? Me feeling like I don't want to say their mentor, but their person, right? I'm taking on 3,500 people's problems in a space where I'm almost re-traumatizing myself, right? I'm getting calls in the middle of the night yo, this is going on, I want to do this to myself, or I can't pay my rent, or I need an Uber to get to school, or I need a book, whatever it may be, where it's I'm not really giving myself the full opportunity to heal, right? I'm finding my ways to get through it, but you being a leader over at SBEV, right? What are some ways that you keep yourself sane, dealing with everybody else's issues?
Well, like he said, my father instilled in me to love on people. So by me expressing myself through connecting those kids and building them up to what they can be. I've always been in education. I was in education at charter school for over 8 years. And it just plays a part of my family. My brother's the superintendent of Flint schools. So just being that light to those people kind of helps me, you know. I mean, it does. Like, I still deal with mental health issues all the time. Like, anything can happen at any part of the day that can mess up your mind. It could be like, oh, I need a drink, or oh, I need to do this. This person is getting on my nerves, but I can't get rid of it. So it's still a daily fight, you know, no matter who you are and where you at. Even the players that I manage. As you guys know, on the news, you see how players, you know, mess up. They, you know, showing guns and drinking, or somebody had gotten into a fight or something like that, and they put that all over the news. Those are issues that we just haven't dealt with growing up, you know, and that's not our parents' fault, you know. It's just how life worked for Black Americans. But now that we know, it's our job to put it out there. It's our job to sow seeds into those kids for the next generation, so they don't have to go through as much as we do. So that's really my answer, if that answers it at all.
What's the question?
How do you stay sane without re-traumatizing yourself while helping people?
Sometimes like I've said, when I speak to my fiance, sometimes you find resolution sometimes even when you ask questions or you're listening to someone else's problems, and at times you realize your problems aren't that big. You know, I remember Mike kept saying some joke on his stand-up. He said, there's going to be a day when everyone's going to throw their problems into a big pile. And then everyone will stand back and say, now go get your problems. Some people are going to have missing legs, some people are going to have missing limbs, and some people are going to have terminal diseases, and they're going to be running to go grab problems. They're going to go run to grab problems that are smaller than theirs, and then you're going to be left with a missing leg. So you're now going to understand, and you're going to empathize and sympathize with other people's issues, and you're going to understand that your problems aren't as bad as they were, because now you don't have a leg. So it's different ways to cope with things, but how I've gotten to where I've gotten is through love, through really church and spirituality, and having a foundation and something to look forward to. And pretty much that's it.
I think I've asked like some pretty good, well, I think my questions are pretty good, but, some pretty solid questions about mental health. What about physical health, right? I know you guys can't be like as like strong and swole as me, or like, you know, like have your APAC and everything like that, like I got going on. But what are some things that you guys do to keep yourself fit? I know me personally, and this is something that I do for my mental health as well. I go to Core Power, which is a high yoga studio, right? So I start off my day in Core Power at 6 or 7 o'clock class, and it kind of gets me motivated to go on my day. I think what motivates me about Core Power actually is that when you think about yoga, obviously there's not a lot of people in the yoga class that look like myself, right? But the class that I go to, it has the weights in there, right? So it's like really like heavy, strong weights. It's super hot in there, and it's really hard, but it's like 30 soccer moms in there that are better than me. So it kind of like motivates me thinking like, okay, you know, this lady pushed out, you know, 4 kids. Then I could probably do it. But that's something that keeps me going physically. Because I want to live longer too, right? Not only if I've lost friends, like physically, I've lost friends that have just kind of let themselves go, right? And that's something that's important to me to keep my mental and my physical intact. So what are some things that you guys do physically to make sure you guys try to be as strong as me?
So for a long time, I hated going to the gym as well until like last year. My brother is a wrestler with WWE, and we work together as well too. So he does that on the side. But you know, he got me into working out because I started to get these episodes where I would get dehydrated and I would kind of just faint. So I would get scared. You know, I got scared about that. And I'm like, bro, I got to get in the gym. I got to do something to help me. So he got me in the gym, started to do things to help me. So every time he goes to the gym, not every time, he goes twice a day. I barely go. I go probably like 3 or 4 times a week. But that helped me. And that's a struggle within our community as well. It's we always have to have something happen to us before we get checked, or we have something, happens to somebody else and be like, oh, we all need to go to the hospital. Like, it needs to be something that's done before things happen. And also, drink COCO5.
Well, what I do in my spare time is try to find time first. Most people do not find time for themselves, and that's a huge issue in society in general. You're not just your job, you are a person, a living human being first. So a lot of attorneys, what they do is they work out. We have a gym inside of our firm as well, so they work out. They come to the office around like 5 or 6 in the morning, work out, shower, and then they start their day before all the emails start hitting. What I do is I work out and play basketball every once in a while, but now I am definitely trying to stay in shape and work out a little bit more and try to get ready for this wedding. Now, I think COVID kind of struck and I gained like 20 pounds. I've always been a skinny person growing up my entire life, but I realized during COVID, my t-shirts were hitting my belly before they were hitting my chest. So I had to get in the gym a little bit, but I'm still working on it. It's a daily goal to just become physically healthy as well as mentally healthy.
All right. If you all just want to give them another round of applause. Yes. Thank you so much, McKinley Nelson. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Patrick. In honor of COCO5, they offered free drinks for everyone. So you give a hand clap about that. So thank you, Tim. So before you leave today, please get your COCO5 Sports Drink. And it was truly an honor. I learned so much from this panel, you all sharing your stories, because I'm sure everyone connected, because I know I did to some things that were said. So thank you, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I just want to, everyone, amazing audience. I want to thank everyone for being here today. So we still have some more things for you. Our third panel is actually our partner, SBEV. So in honor of Juneteenth, they are going to be doing a presentation. I would like to call up Ms. Sharina Sigmund and the SBEV team in honor to do a presentation in honor of Juneteenth. You want to give them a round of applause? And we also do have t-shirts available, so thank you so much.
Put one on this side. Yeah, I just need one over here. Okay. I could put. Thank you. Want me to hold it? No. Okay. It's okay. Thank you. Okay.
Hello. Hi, I'm Ms. Sharina from SBEV Chicago, and I am here with Mr. Brandon, who is our art teacher, and we also have our admin assistant, Ms. Jerica. I am the social studies and leadership development teacher. So I'm here to represent our students and our wonderful staff with a project that we did for Juneteenth. But before we get into that, first I wanted to thank Ms. Lawrence for having us here. Yes, round of applause. Thank you. This is our third event, I believe, with us being here. So this is the third time that we're getting a chance to come on stage and just have a moment to celebrate either Juneteenth or talk about men's health, or I believe we had mental health events as well. Yes. So we've been here a few times and we're always so grateful to be here. But specifically, I wanted to go a little bit into Juneteenth and what makes that extra special for this project. I don't know about the majority of you, but I can speak for me. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and when I was a kid in elementary and also middle school and high school, I did not know what Juneteenth was. So to be a leadership and social studies teacher now, and to get the chance to teach that to students and also to represent them here today for Juneteenth is something that I feel very grateful for. And I have to again thank Insight and this event for that.
So we have a few poster boards that I want to go through, but just to kind of give you the structure of what we're doing. I wanted to just show you what my students and our students did, and we're very proud of them. And our art teacher will also go over a very special person in history. And then, of course, we have our admin assistant who will say a wonderful poem. So first, one of our classes that we have this year is our health and wellness class. So we've been speaking a lot about, of course, mental health and physical health. Thank you. But our health and wellness teacher, Ms. Kiana, she specifically works with kindergarten and first grade. So it's only so much information you can get through with K-1, but we try our very best. So for health and wellness, basically, she went a little bit over the history of food in African American culture for Juneteenth. So she just gave me some notes here. Basically, the K through 1, they just kind of talked about what is soul food and where it comes from, and a little bit more information about Juneteenth that they went over. But specifically, they discussed what foods were brought over by enslaved Africans, and these things included watermelon, okra, yams, and black-eyed peas. And they also discussed how soul food was created by African American culture and how it's embedded in other cultures as well. But of course, since this day is all about physical and mental health, they also, Ms. Kiana did tell me that she likes to focus a lot of her class on health and wellness of how we can eat soul food in moderation. We can also add in a lot of other healthy foods into what is known in our tradition and in our culture. So that is also taught to our K through 1 students as well. So I just want to show this poster off because they worked really hard. So I need everyone to look and really see what our K through 1 students were working on. Thank you. So we have a couple more here. Our 4th through 5th, thank you, Mr. Brandon. Our 4th through 5th days, this is actually my home for social studies. We spoke a little bit about what Juneteenth is, and a few of our 4th through 5th graders, they actually did know about Juneteenth, and that made me very happy, again, coming from the background of not knowing much about that when I was in 4th grade. So we spoke a little bit about what they know about what Juneteenth is, and then they also created the Juneteenth flag, which majority of them did not know existed. I did not know existed until a few years ago. So we basically colored that, spoke about how it was created in 1977, and it has some of the same colors as the American flag, and how, of course, like, because of it being Juneteenth, the white star stood for Texas. So yeah, we basically wanted to make sure with the 4th, 5th graders that they understood the importance of Juneteenth, and that they didn't just do this project as something that was just like a side activity, and just something that they think that, of course, they don't have to know the history of, because sometimes we work at a summer camp basically for SF. And we know a lot of our activities, we try to make it as fun as possible. So, but we also want to embed culture and education in everything that we do. So with this Juneteenth project, we wanted to make sure that they were learning as much as possible. And we have one more here that I really wanted to share, which is from our math class. And this is our 2nd and 3rd graders. So basically they created a timeline. I'm not sure if you all can see this, but they created a timeline history of Juneteenth to today timeline. So they work, of course, a lot with numbers, and they wanted to basically do a timeline of the history of Juneteenth just so they could understand that. And thank you, Mr. Brandon. And just kind of break down the years that everything happened. Like we have 1831, 1861, Underground Railroad. We also have 1909, the NAACP beginning. So it's a full timeline that the 2nd and 3rd graders not only did while they were doing these poster boards, they were learning this history as well. So lastly, I just wanted to say that as far as we did get Juneteenth off this year, and we kind of had, prior to Monday and having that day off, a lot of the teachers and staff, we spoke to our students about treating that day specifically, the reasoning behind why it's so important. Because sometimes with having holidays off, like we don't really talk about the background and the importance of like why we have that day off and why we are celebrating what we are celebrating. So I think with a lot of the homeroom teachers, we wanted to make sure that we get through to our students and that they are learning through ways that are fun and learning through ways that are meaningful to them. So again, I wanted to thank Ms. Florence for this opportunity because our students had a lot of fun with this project. And I also wanted to introduce our art teacher, Mr. Brandon. He goes into further history about, you can speak further on that.
So basically, throughout, grade school, we're always taught about our basic things through history, like, how we were essentially like Rosa Parks, all the, essential historians that are for African Americans. But we're not taught about things that happened outside of the US. Like, for instance, nobody really knows about a African that came to Japan back in 1548 under a Italian missionary and was traded to a high daimyo, which is essentially a lord of a certain land in Japan. And they thought that for the first time them seeing an African, they thought that his body was covered in black ink. So they ordered their servants to scrub his body and get the black ink off his body. Them not knowing what an African was, they did not know why the ink was coming off. So eventually, the daimyo at the time took in the slave, freed him from being a slave, and as the years went on, the man became one of the most powerful samurai as the right-hand man of that daimyo. So in that time, his name was Oda Nobunaga, which was the daimyo at the time, and he gained the name Oda Yasuke. Well, since we didn't have as much time, we were supposed to create a full portrait of what he originally looked like. Back then in Japan, they didn't have very good nutrition. So the average height of someone who's typically Japanese was 5'2", but he stood at a whopping 6'4". So when they saw him, he basically towered over everybody, which was one of the main things that, people were literally stampeding over each other just to see what he looked like because they've never seen a tall African at that time. So it was when I first learned about him, because I'm really into anime and Japanese culture, and I had never known this about him until 5 years ago. And when I did the research on it, it was very surprising to know that not only were we in Japan, we were also basically everywhere. We have a huge history on Africans being all over the US, and there's so much information about it out there. People just don't seem to want to learn about it, or not that they don't learn about it, people don't know. People don't take the time to look it up. They don't have the full scale. Like, you got Google. All you need to do is just Google in Africans in China, and they will show you pictures of Chinese Africans, like legitimately people who, like, we have a very large history of us being everywhere. Like, we're everywhere. Like, his name, like, he even had a son and a wife that after the daimyo at the time, he was trying to unite Japan with the African. And at that time, there was a revolt by one of the daimyo's main generals. So they ended up killing the daimyo, and because he was so loyal to the daimyo, he did not want to, betray him. So they ended up killing him, and no one knows what happened to his son and wife. They ended up either getting away or they got caught. No one knows what happened. But there's a full I don't remember what museum it was, but there's a full exhibit explaining the whole history, and there's a statue of him in that exhibit. But no one really knows about it. The idea that we just came from Africa and we only live here is mind-boggling, because we're everywhere. Like, if everyone originated from Africa, you would think, maybe we're everywhere. Because we don't just have history in America. We have it everywhere.
Thank you for sharing that, Brandon. Hi, I'm Jerica. I am the admin of SDAS Chicago. I also am the meditation teacher there as well. I'm going to do a poem called Jubilee by Ebony Stewart in honor of Juneteenth. Give me the parades and marching bands, Negro spirituals and praise dances. Give me djembe, kente, and pom-poms. Afro picks, raise fists, chanting we shall overcome. I want to see red, yellow, black, and green. Excuse me. Matter of fact, I want all black and southern everything. Give me matching t-shirts, swing outs, and line dances. Dominoes, spades, belly laughs, and foot races. I want to see locks, cornrows, head wraps, kinky curl coils, and box braids, hair beads, waist beads, west beads, swinging towels. Excuse me. And the Black African American heritage flag flying high. Give us the sun and the sky. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, and I'm feeling good. Give me poetry, rappers, banners, and big signs. I want HBCUs and Divine Nine. Strolls, shimmies, sound offs, and step shows. From Gallatin, Texas, and any park in the nation. Cause you already know, it's a family reunion. Give me AAVE, Ebonics and Southern slang. I want sister so-and-so or brother whoever to sing whatever. And someone to yell, and you better sing. Baby, I want Mr. and Mrs. Juneteenth, because when the saints go marching in, I want pastor, the elders, and blown kisses at our ancestors. They came back as red birds. I want to see and hear the children with stained lips and mouths full of laughter. I want barbecue pits, fried fish, collard greens, mac and cheese, and whoever makes the best potato salad, one plate, please. I want the first bite to make my head nod and body shake. I want watermelon, sweet potato pie, red velvet cake, pound cake, tea cakes, ice cream, or a cool cup for when I get the sweat tooth filling. I need a red drink and the spilling taste of emancipation with a side of resilience. Get spirits for the spirits and pour out a little bit for my dead homies and the ones that came before me. For the past, present, and future. For centuries of struggle and all enslaved Black people. For inhumane working conditions, they need of equality, intentionality in commemorating traditions, to provoke understanding, special connections, hope, and healing. A loving embrace, tears, Black joy, and all through we come to the end of the road. Carry it on now, carry it on. It's Juneteenth every day until freedom. It's Juneteenth every day until freedom. It's Juneteenth every day until freedom. It's Juneteenth every day in my heart until freedom. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Please give them another round of applause. Thank you so much, Ms. Sharina, the team. I appreciate you all. I almost wanted to snap my fingers to that poem. That was really awesome. So I just would like to call up Ms. Ebony Parker up here, if you don't mind. If you want to give her a round of applause. We really just want to give her a shout out because these amazing shirts celebrating Juneteenth, you know, the reason, you know, why we have, you know, days like this for the community, the togetherness. So Ms. Parker, if you don't mind just sharing the reason behind, you know, the design, the t-shirts and.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Ebony Parker. The reason behind this design, like they said, I didn't know much about it when I was younger, and so now I do. So me and my husband got together and came up with the designs in order to support our culture, you know. I'm also a realtor. Is it the big one needs one? I'm nervous, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We with you.
Let's get Thank you, Dad.
Thank you so much. I know that was for the moment, but so feel free to purchase a t-shirt. They come in different sizes. We just want to make sure we connect and we promote each other, you know, because that's what it's all about. Yes, yes. So I just want to thank everyone, you know, for coming out today. So much was discussed here, you know, so many different things that when we go home today, we'll hold on to something. So just know that here at Insight, we do try to have community engagement opportunities, you know, monthly. This summer, we have a lot of connections going on. We're going to be partnering with SBEV for, you know, the Bud Billiken Parade. Yes, 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 yes. We are going to have a health fair the third week in August. So I would like to see everyone here, you know, performances, you know, fun, food, you know, a lot of different connections. So I just want us to all stay connected. And again, thank everyone. Roy and Caleb, so sorry. If you have another performance for us you want to share, or no, is that it? Okay, so give them another round of applause. Yes, yes. So in closing, I would just like to thank every panel, you know, from our Insight providers to, you know, McKinley Nelson, COCO5, you know, Tim, definitely the SBEV team, Ms. Sharita, Ms. Ebony for the t-shirts, and all the departments that made this possible. You know, we truly thank you to our amazing performers, Roy and Caleb. Give it up. Yes, yes, and to everyone that came out to participate. Yes, so feel free to stop by and get a treat. Make sure you get your COCO5 drink, because I'm gonna get mine. And that's pretty much it. So everyone have a good day, and we truly thank you. Thank you.